Oh, there we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our very first ever YouTube Live. I'm Lisa Kelly I'm the Director of Digital Media here at Fisher House, and I am really happy to be joined here by Marshall Banks. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our We're with Marshall Banks, who is our Director of Community Relations, and he works a lot with all the different scholarship programs that we have. So welcome, Marshall.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. I appreciate the introduction. Hey, again, I'm Marshall Banks. I'm the Director of Community Relations. I am also the co-manager for the Fisher House Scholarship Program. I've been with the foundation since 2019, and I began co-managing the scholarship program along with my battle buddy, Brian Gunn, in 2020. So today, I appreciate everyone that's online today watching this, our very first YouTube live event, and can't think of a better topic to talk about today, because this is something that is near and dear to my heart, right? I have a college-age daughter, and I can tell you that scholarships are an important part of our lives in the Banks household. So I'm certain that this is probably very interesting to you all as well, since you're joining us for this YouTube live. College is still expensive, right? And we all understand that. According to the College Board, taken all together, when you look at tuition, room and board, books, and other expenses, you're looking at in 2022 is about an average of $57.5 thousand. $57,000 at a private nonprofit college. At a public university, the average cost is about $45,000, and out of state and for an in-state school, it's about $28,000. So that can be a large chunk out of a household's budget. A little bit about Fisher House Foundation. Fisher House Foundation provides a home away from home, military installations, and VA medical centers for families experiencing a personal medical crisis, and it's one of the premier quality of life organizations supporting military families. The foundation decided to invest in a scholarship program as another way to provide benefits or provide a service to support military families. A little bit about our agenda for today. Bear with me, Lisa.
It's our first ever
best laid plan never provides first contact. Oh wow!
We promised it worked in the run.
We promised it was going to work. Okay, there we go. We're in good shape.
Okay.
This is our agenda for today. I'll talk to you a little bit about the scholarships for military children and the Heroes Legacy program. Probably talk those a little bit more in depth, simply because those are the two programs that are particular to Fisher House Foundation. Then we'll talk about one of the programs that we support, which is the National Military Spouse Scholarship. I'll go through a little bit on our online scholarship search engine, which is a really great resource for those folks that may be looking for, especially military families that are looking for other scholarship opportunities outside of scholarships for military children and Heroes Legacy. And then we'll just talk a little bit about some general scholarship advice, about the essays, things of that nature, how to develop a scholarship toolbox, as well as finding more scholarships.
That's great.
Let's talk a little bit about scholarships for military children, starting out. Scholarships for military children program, we're now in our 23rd year. The program intends to that a scholarship be funded through contributions and that it be awarded annually at each commissary operated by the Defense Commissary Agency that's worldwide. It's a merit-based scholarship, and what we mean by merit-based is that it's based on your academic performance. It's not based on financial needs. Selections for the scholarship and Heroes Legacy, which I'll talk a little bit later, are both strictly based on academic records, activities, and the essays. Since inception, we've awarded a little bit over 12,800 scholarships to students, and that's roughly about $22 million in scholarship grants. This year, we'll award another another $2,000 scholarships. I'm going to get this together here in a minute. To 500 scholarships students, and we'll award those nationwide. The application period has already opened. It opened mid-December of 2022, and it will actually close on 15 February 2023. So that's about 16 days from now, the scholarship, it will close, and that's going to be at Pacific Standard Time. So that's around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So please, 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 I beg of you, please do not wait until the last minute. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit more. And I'll continue to stomp my foot on that piece. Please do not wait until the last minute. Understand that the duration of the scholarship is for 1 year, and that students can, you can reapply for up to 4 years. If you're going into a special program like engineering, my daughter's in engineering, there may be some exceptions made for those folks that have a 5-year program degree. Eligibility. Very first thing I want to talk to you about off the bat here is students who are a dependent unmarried child and under the age of 23 of an active duty personnel, Reserve and National Guard personnel, and that's, of course, all branches of service that have a reserve component, as well as retired military members. Probably the most important thing I'd like you to pay attention to here is that students must be enrolled in DEERS, and you must have a valid U.S. Uniform Service Identification and Privilege card or a dependent ID card. That is essential. That is something that we cannot waive. That is a requirement. You must be enrolled in a full-time undergraduate program leading to a bachelor's degree at an accredited university. And for those graduating high school seniors, must have at least a 3.0 GPA. And for those college students that are applying, must have at least a 2.5.
Now, are those students, are they competing nationwide, or are they competing with the other students at each commissary?
They're competing. The way it's set up is that each commissary, and the purpose of this, or the intent of the scholarship, was that each commissary will receive, at least one student will receive a scholarship at each one of the commissaries that are participating and that they apply.
Great.
Understand that they're competing with the folks that are there that are applying at that same commissary. So I had a call the other day from a brother and sister. There's a commissary, actually there are 2 commissaries within their area, and the sister indicated to me that, hey, my brother gets this, very good student, gets scholarship for military children program scholarships. Looks like he gets it every year. Is it okay if I apply at another commissary? I told her, sure. It's it's within your area. You don't necessarily have to apply at the very same commissary that your brother is applying at, simply because if you want to make sure that you're kind of not competing there with him. So yes, so you're actually competing at whatever commissary that the student applies. Those are the folks that you are competing with.
That's great. And I love that it's also, that means that the students who are overseas also get to apply.
They also get to apply. That's right. It's even though we award them nationwide, it's still even those folks that are overseas can apply.
Great.
Let's talk about a little bit about Heroes Legacy Scholarship Program. And it's set up somewhat different. You'll hear some similarities as I start going through some of the, as we talk about the application and the duration for the scholarship. However, the Heroes Legacy is different in that it honors not only those who have fallen in battle, but all who have died or have become disabled through their active military service since September 11, 2001. And this program is in its 12th year. You'll see there that in 2022, we awarded 713 scholarships for $2,000 each. Very similar. It's a merit-based scholarship. The award amount, we say that it'll be to be determined simply because it is based on the amount of donations that we get in that support this scholarship. So if there are any folks out there that are potential donors or would like to give towards Heroes Legacy Scholarship Program, please do so. And that just helps us to increase the number of scholarships that we can give each year.
Yeah.
As far as the application is concerned, there's the website where you can apply for Heroes Legacy. Same open and closing period as scholarships for military children. And we've already talked a little bit about the duration, which is again the same as scholarships for military children. Eligibility is as I stated before, is a little bit different. Still need to be a dependent, unmarried child under the age of 23 of a parent who either died while serving on active duty on or after September 11, 2001, or was on active duty on or after September 11, 2001, received a permanent disability rating of 100% from a Department of VA, or while serving on active duty or on or after September 11, 2001, received traumatic service group life insurance and for a serious injury. So in this case, if you're a sponsor, your parent that's your sponsor for this scholarship, if that person may have passed, even if it was they were still in uniform, it could have been in the hospital or maybe even died of some incurable disease, such as cancer, they're still eligible as long as you have that dependent ID card. And it's very similar as we look at the whole thing about being enrolled in DEERS, being enrolled as a full-time undergraduate program that's leading to a bachelor's degree. Same as scholarship for military children when you look at the grade point average, as well as for the high school, not only for the high school students, but also for the college students. So some similarities. Also like to add that as you look at the two scholarships, you may very well be eligible to apply for both, which is awesome. Just make sure that you go out and visit our website at militaryscholar.org, and it's at the bottom there of the slide. I invite you to go out and take a look at the frequently asked questions page, because that can, in many cases, can answer a number of the questions that you may have. But again, great opportunity for those folks out there that are interested in applying for scholarships. Take the time to, if you don't currently have a valid military ID, I encourage you strongly to go ahead and get with your sponsor and visit the nearest Rapid Center to go ahead and get that taken care of and get yourself enrolled in DEERS if you're not already there. And even if you need to update your ID, it's important that you have that updated before you submit that scholarship before that deadline of February the 15th. There's no opportunities for waivers as far as that goes.
That's great advice.
Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the National Military Family Association Spouse Scholarship. As I stated before, our goal is to support military families, and we're proud of our support, our continued support to the National Military Family Association Spouse Scholarship. NMFA does an outstanding job with this scholarship. They offer great opportunities through this program, and there are opportunities not only for degrees, but certifications, licensing, things of that nature, as well as continued education credits, and in some cases, postgraduate degrees. A little bit about the eligibility. I won't necessarily read that because you can read it for yourself there on the slide. But again, a great opportunity for military spouses. Again, important, must have or be eligible to hold a valid dependent ID card in order to apply for these scholarships. Talked a little bit before about what NMFA scholarships help pay for. again, all degrees from a GED to a PhD. I mean, that's awesome. Licenses, shucks, business entrepreneur expenses. So there's a lot of different things out there. But what I will tell you to do is to please go out and you'll see that very first bullet there. It gives you the website at militaryfamily.org/program/spouses-scholarships. Please go out and visit that website if you have any questions about the NMFA spouses scholarship.
Yeah, and you can also find information if you go to that, if you forget and you go to the militaryscholar.org, we have a link directly to that since we do sponsor it. Yeah, I love that they're actually on a rolling basis. So if somebody comes up and needs, if you PCS and need new licensing, they're there to help.
Right. The other wonderful thing is that it's and again, you need to go out and visit the website, but in our case, like I said, our requirements are, of course, going to likely be different when you start looking at application windows and deadlines. So please be sure to go out and visit that website as well. Now let's talk a little bit about our online scholarship search engine, and it gives you a website there at the very top of the slide. However, as sure, we have the Scholarships for Military Children's program as well as Heroes Legacy, but we also saw that there was maybe a potential gap because there are a lot of great military organizations out there that offer scholarships as well. And what we wanted to do is try to close that gap here at Fisher House. So what we did, we partnered with Mainstay, and Mainstay is, of course, they maintain a database of military scholarships. Again, those are specifically intended for military families. So what we did was here at Fisher House was to invest in developing a search engine. And it's one of those things where anyone can use this resource. However, again, remember that they are specifically intended for military families.
So in military families, this one, what I love about it, it includes everyone, children, spouses, veterans themselves. It has them for everybody.
Exactly. And the other thing is that in the case of the scholarships that are offered here, and we'll talk a little bit about those as I go through, but there's an opportunity, there may be scholarships that are available that are going on as far as the application period is concerned, at various times throughout the year. So as I kind of talk you through this, just keep that in mind, because there may be an opportunity for those parents or students that maybe sophomores or maybe even juniors in high school can start building their list of scholarships, potential scholarships, and I already have an idea what the eligibility requirements are for those, and have an idea of what they may want to apply for. So it gives them a pretty good lead time.
It's a great idea.
Great thing about this is that it's very easy to use. As I said, my daughter is when we were applying for scholarships as she was coming out of her senior year of high school, definitely use this website. And it's very user friendly. As you can see, it asks for just basic information, asks a little bit about your personal information, what your affiliation as far as military is concerned. Could be one of those things where, it's a veteran, everything to, maybe it's ROTC, but make sure that you read through what it's asking you for as far as the affiliation is concerned, and make sure that you click on what's applicable. And I would say click on all that is applicable. It's not if there's a veteran, or if you are a veteran, or if you are the child or a descendant of a veteran, hey, click on that. If someone is still in the military, hey, click on the one that says, hey, I'm a descendant of a military personnel. Again, it's not going to limit you to just clicking one button. And again, this helps you to broaden your net, if you will, and kind of also helps to at the same time narrow the target. Sports and activities. Most of this is self-explanatory, but what you're going to notice, and you'll notice on the very last one, it talks about college preferences. This can be very general, right? You don't, a student that's a sophomore, junior may not necessarily have an idea of, hey, where am I going to go to college? But you can click on whatever state that you're thinking about going to college. You don't have to be to narrow yourself down to be very specific, but have an idea of where you want to go to college and make sure that you click on those things, because again, it helps to show a listing of what scholarships may be available to you.
That's great.
Again, once you enter your personal data, you'll see a screen that looks similar to this. Talks about your current education. Again, this isn't just open to high school students. It's also open to, folks that are maybe seeking an associate's degree. There's numerous opportunities out there, and I just ask that you go out there and take advantage of it. I won't try to explain the entire workings of the website here, but I do strongly encourage you that you go out there and visit for yourself and just see just how easy it is.
Yeah.
Once you've plugged in all of your information, and this is just an example of something that my battle buddy Brian did. I believe it was for last year. Just did a journal search on some basic with just basic information entered. And what's going to happen is it's going to give you your search results. Okay, as you can see there, it shows a filter of all the scholarships that you're eligible for. In this case, it says the person is eligible for 308 scholarships, or may be eligible for 308 scholarships. Of course, what's going to happen is that you're going to need to go into each one to see, what are the eligibility requirements and learn a little bit more about the scholarship. In this case, this one, the subject focus is logistics. If you're looking at being an engineer major, maybe not. This may not apply to you. However, that's why it's important to continue, as I say, to continue to improve your foxhole by answering the questions as closely as possible to narrow down so that you can hit the target of the type of scholarships that you would want to apply for. The other important piece of this is the website information. If you have a specific question about the scholarship, be sure that you go out and visit the website, because they may have other requirements that may not necessarily be presented here. You can learn more about the scholarship, of course, and a little bit of background history of the scholarship. The other piece is that, what's great about this is that it's absolutely free. You're not charged for using this website. Fisher House Foundation does not sell your information. Again, this is just another resource that's available to you. And again, I strongly encourage you to take a look at it.
Absolutely. And I love with that you can also save that list so that you have to go back. Like you said, if there's some that maybe their deadline is in February, some that their deadline is in May, you can always go back to that list.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Lisa. You can always go back to that list. The other great thing is that you can also print the list out into a PDF. So as Lisa indicated, you can go back and revisit it at any time throughout the year. It's not one of those things where, hey, I've got to go through all 308 of these potential scholarships. No, you can actually do a printout and go back and visit it. So appreciate you bringing that and pointing that out, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about some general scholarship advice. Just talked about it. Always check the scholarship website. In that, the frequently asked questions pages, most of the scholarships have those. I know that we have them, those pages for both Heroes Legacy and scholarships for military children. Probably answers 99% of the questions that you're going to have. So again, always visit the scholarship website. And again, verify that you qualify for the particular scholarship that you're looking for. I borrowed this one from Brian, be honest, but not humble. And because when you look at this, colleges and universities are looking for folks that they believe are going to be successful, not only in college, but once they graduate from college. So things that colleges and universities are looking at, one would be your character. Do you have the mental and moral qualities? Is this person ethical? Leadership. if you are in organizations or if you're captain of a sports team at your school, or if it's an organization outside of school activities, if you hold a leadership position in there, make sure that you make note of that and take that into account, because college and universities, as you start looking at scholarships, not only is college and university looking at those, but also when you're applying for your scholarships, that's something that's going to be looked at. What are the activities that you're involved in? And in my case, my daughter was heavily involved in cheerleading as a sport, still is involved in cheerleading. She's involved in SJA at the high school. There's a number of different things. So again, start looking at those things and taking note of them. What activities are you involved in? Again, are you involved in any sports? You may not necessarily, maybe you're not a captain within that sport, but that's an activity. What about things that you're maybe doing within the community? Again, doesn't necessarily have to be in school, but it may be something that's done in your community. Make sure that you, again, take account of those. Service. I know that most schools, I would venture to say that all schools at this point give service, community service hours. Make sure that you're taking note of those community service hours. Again, this is both in school as well as out of school. And again, since we're talking about scholarship programs, scholar, and it goes without saying, if you're applying for scholarships, in most cases, that grade point average is going to need to be at least a 2.5 or 3.0 in order to either even be eligible to apply for certain scholarships. So again, please take that into account. Many scholarships these days also have an essay requirement. I know for Fisher House Foundation, we do have an essay requirement. Make sure that you honor the essay. You can be great in everything else as far as your application is concerned, but if you don't honor the essay, it's pretty much it goes into file 13 or the magical wastebasket, if you will, simply because you didn't honor everything that scholarship asks for. And that doesn't only go as far as writing the scholarship. It also means that make sure that you're writing whatever the topic of the scholarship is, or the scholarship essay, whatever that topic has been requested. Make sure that you're writing on that topic. Don't take anything out of maybe something that you've done in high school and dust it off thinking that this is great, because it's probably not. Make sure that you honor the essay question. And of course, submit everything that the application asks for. That way it doesn't end up in the magical waste basket, if you will. Please, please, please never wait until deadline to submit. And of course, and I'm guilty of it.
Me too.
Yeah. We push and we push and we push our kids to go ahead, hey, get your scholarships done, because you need, here's the deadline. You got to make sure that you're staying on task. But sometimes it gets down to the day before, and that's undue stress that you're putting on yourself, as well as putting on your parents. So please don't wait until the deadline. Plus, if you start early, you can have a better quality product in the end. The other piece is to increase your odds. Find at least 10 scholarships you qualify for. Don't just limit yourself on the scholarships that that Fisher House Foundation offers. Again, we've got the wonderful tool out there in the scholarship search engine. Please use that to help to increase your opportunities for scholarships. But again, just an advice, just please consider looking at least 10 scholarships that you qualify for.
That's great.
Scholarship essays. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in depth. Again, answer the question that's been asked of you, right? You want to ensure that it's the correct number of words. I use Grammarly here at the office as a program. I use it religiously because you always want to spell and grammar check what you're submitting for the scholarship to make sure that it makes sense. Once you've completed the scholarship, read it out loud. Does this make sense? In cases of even with me writing simple emails, I'll read some things I'll read out loud just to make sure that I'm getting my point across, and that ensuring that it's answering the question that's being asked, or that it's clear and concise. The other piece of this thing, be sure that you write the essay yourself. Because we do have our scholarship managers that actually we do have an organization that supports us, and they go through each one of those scholarship applications as well as those essays, and they can tell if a student has written that essay themselves. So please make sure that you write it yourself. And plus, it helps to build character, right? And just can't say that enough. Make sure you write it yourself. Understand also that there's usually a tiebreaker, especially for a competitive scholarship. I said, for the past couple of years, since I've been sitting in this seat, we've gotten, for scholarships for military children, we've gotten somewhere around, 3,000 to 4,000 scholarships. Yeah, somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 scholarships. So again, sometimes that scholarship, even though it's maybe at that certain commissary, may be a tiebreaker as you start looking at who's going to get that scholarship that's tied to that commissary. So again, be sure that you're doing the things that you need to do in order to ensure that those things are done right. Plus, it's a chance for you to show your personality, right? Because some scholarship questions may be very broad, and again, that's an opportunity for you to show your personality. When you're looking at what will they remember when it comes down to, hey, if the scholarship may very well be the tiebreaker, hey, what was it about this person's essay that stood out? Hey, again, what will the grader, or what will the person that's reading that essay, what will they remember about the person that actually wrote it? So please keep that in mind.
This was my favorite part.
Yeah. So here's a little bit about Scholarship Toolbox. It's never too late, or never too early, I should say, to start collecting these things when you start looking at preparing to submit for scholarships. Your school transcripts. That's you want to make sure that you have an official copy of your school transcript. Your standardized test scores. Need to know what those are, and that's for all standardized tests. Letters of recommendation. Don't wait too late on these. If you're applying for a scholarship and the scholarship is going to be due in the spring, I would if I've looked at it early enough, I would try to give my person that I'm asking for the scholarship, I try to give them at least 2 or 3 months to consider writing that scholarship recommendation for you. When you're looking at STEM education, you want to make sure that you got your math or your science teacher plus English. And when I say plus English, is simply because you can have the greatest ideas in math and science, but if you can't communicate those ideas, Good point. And I say that simply because it's great that you're taking English, but try to learn as much as you can in there, especially if you're doing STEM. And that's from me coming from a STEM background. Like I said, you can have the greatest ideas in the world, but may not be able to present them. Consider your coaches. If you play the sport or something, the coaches, you had a great relationship with the coach. Get your coach to write it. If you're working summer jobs or something of that nature, have your employer. If you're in clubs and organizations and there's an advisor there, have that person to write it for you. If you're attend a church or synagogue or something like that, get your clergy to write a letter for you. All of those go a long way. In doing that, don't make them guess about what to write about you. Make sure that when you go to them and ask them to do this for you, give them some type of a resume so that they're not having to make things up. a resume as well as maybe some bullet points for them to share in the letter. Make it as easy for them as possible to get it done for you. We talked earlier about the sports, jobs, clubs, and activities. Need to have an idea about what those are because those types of questions will be asked of you for scholarships, and any documentation of your honors and achievements are important.
Yeah, and I love having that all together in one spot so that you're not looking everywhere for those different things when they come up.
Right, exactly, and that's again, just speaking from personal experience. That's one of the things that we had our daughter do is to keep a file. And just make sure that you file those things away throughout the year. If you're getting letters of recommendation, I mean, just break it out. I think Brian last year, as he gave this presentation, he kept a 3-ring binder for his kids and made sure they put all their information to those 3-ring binders. So when it was time to pull these things out, you weren't, hunting and guessing about the things that you did or that you completed. And you're not looking for those award certificates that are maybe sitting somewhere collecting dust. So
right.
Again, yeah. Also, as a military child, think about the challenges that you've overcome. In the case of family separations. Again, personal experience, I left my family in place wherever I went, in many cases, simply because I wanted them to have somewhat of a stable support network. So, not even though I'm not there, I know that still has some effect, or could potentially have some effect. It could be a challenge that a child has to overcome. If your parents, are in combat, how did you overcome that challenge? As I said, multiple moves. Lisa, you're a military brat. How many times did you move?
I was just counting. I think it was about 8 by the time I got to middle school.
About 8 times by the time you got to middle school. So, I mean, those are challenges. So again, think about those things again, especially as a military dependent, and you're applying for these scholarships. The other piece is if you're a first generation American. I know that there can be some language challenges and things of that nature. So think about those as well.
Yeah, I love that our CEO, Ken Fisher, always says, that the military family makes sacrifices the average American doesn't really know about. So I think that's a great time to really showcase that what, military kids go through as opposed to an everyday family.
Finally, be honest but not humble. I won't go back through those for you, but always remember class.
Love it.
Okay, so where can I find more scholarships? Hey, talk to your school guidance counselor. Wonderful resource for you. It's build relationships with those folks, because in some cases, especially if it's a large school, they're not going to have time to know everyone by name. But if that person is, seeing you for good reasons, of course, you can always, go by and see them maybe once a month and say, hey, scholarships are coming down or coming through. Hey, just kind of keep me in mind. And, those folks will take note of that, and they'll appreciate you looking to them as a resource. There's church groups and organizations. Various types of organizations have their own particular scholarships. Again, just personal experience. We worked through some of the local organizations there in my family's hometown, and found wonderful fraternal organizations that had scholarships that folks weren't even applying for because they didn't know about them. So again, start taking a look at that. Start scouring the websites to see what may very well be local to your area. There's also the university and alumni clubs that you may be planning on attending that are local to your community that may have scholarship opportunities for you. And of course, no, don't overlook the military and veterans organizations because those, they understand in many cases what the you as a military child are going through, and I know that they would love to be able to support you, just like Fisher House Foundation loves to support military families. Other scholarships, scholarship search engine, I have a few of them listed there. Again, start doing your homework. Look and see what's out there that's available to you, not only with these that I have listed here, but are there any others that that may be a good resource for you? It's and again, it's never too late to start doing that.
That's great. We do have a question coming in about how can the Fisher House scholarships, the scholarships for military children and Heroes Legacy, how can those be used? That money.
That is a very good question. So with those two scholarships, those scholarships are actually used for tuition fees, any lab fees that you may have, and for books. Cannot be used to pay room and board or travel. So it's pretty, I think it's pretty standard for most scholarships these days that's what the scholarships can be used for. There's also an opportunity that if there's a need for a computer, and that computer is sold there in your bookstore, there on campus, you can purchase that with the scholarship money that you receive. Again, but it must come through this school.
That's great to know. And let's see, someone's asking here if I receive a scholarship grant, what if I plan to attend a 2-year college or 2-year community or junior college?
Okay. Yeah, you can definitely apply for the scholarship, understanding that 2-year 2-year course of study must lead to a 4-year attending a 4-year college, accredited college. It's not, the scholarship is not for folks that may be, and I know sometimes we get the terms mixed up, but it's not for folks that may be planning on attending a trade school and receiving an associate's degree, but you can use it for community college if that community college leads into a 4-year college degree for Bachelor of Science.
That's great. Let's see here. I think those are most of the questions. And one quick, if you don't live necessarily super close to a commissary, do you pick the commissary that's closest to you, or on the application process?
Yeah, great question, Lisa. Yes, you can choose the commissary that is closest to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's simply because we know that in some cases, especially when we start talking about folks that may be in a guard or reserve unit, may not have a commissary that's close to their hometown, simply because in many cases those units may be in small towns that don't have a commissary that's local to them, but they can choose the commissary that is closest to them, even if it's in another city, they can still apply at that commissary.
Perfect. Well, I think those are all the questions that we have, but yeah, this is exciting. This is one of my favorite programs, getting the chance to help out in a different way.
Yeah.
Love.
And I'll tell you, you'll see it there at the bottom of the very last slide that I have up here. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Brian. Again, I cover down primarily on the Scholarships for Military Children program, and Brian with Heroes Legacy. However, you can never go wrong by sending it to the both of us, and we'll be sure to get back with you. We look forward to supporting y'all the best way that we can. So, again, if you get stuck somewhere and you can't find it in the frequently asked questions page on militaryscholar.org, please feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining our first ever Facebook Live.